Discover the incredible, life-changing journey of a 17-year-old studying for Harvard at 3 a.m. Mia Rodriguez sat on the edge of her bed, textbook sprawled open, as the clock ticked past midnight. Shadows crept across her room, but in that late hour, darkness, her dreams shimmered brightly. A feverish determination pulsed through her veins. Harvard was her golden ticket to a brighter future. Every page she turned whispered the promise of hope and a chance to lift her family from the clutches of their struggling suburb. The weight of her late grandfather's stories enveloped her like a warm embrace, igniting her resolve to chase the American dream. Yet as she crammed for finals, her heart bore another weight. Her brother, Marco, had come home from war, transformed from the happy boy who left. His laughter, once bright, was now replaced with haunting silence. Mia could see the pain etched in his eyes and the tightness in his smile, and it twisted something deep inside her. She wanted to help him, to pull him from the edge of that darkness, but all she could do was bury herself deeper in her studies, hoping that a diploma from Harvard might make everything right. At school, the halls felt like an echo chamber of self-doubt. One encounter with a wealthy classmate left Mia feeling like she had slipped under the radar. "Maybe I don't belong here," she said, clutching her flashcards like a life raft, a tear prickling her eye as she leaned against her locker. The cafeteria's laughter rang hollow in her ears. These affluent kids had everything: fancy clothes, cars, and life plans carefully laid out before them. Yet, Mia could hear the whispers of her community urging her on, reminding her that their sacrifices must mean something. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Then came a moment that cracked open her world. Mia discovered that her college application had been sabotaged. Online whispers and backstabbers sought to dismantle her dreams. Heart pounding, she read the cruel message one more time. "You don't belong here." Everything felt like it was crashing down, and the silence of her room echoed with the heaviness of her disappointment. But in that darkness, hope flickered. Her neighbors stepped in, supporting her fight against the injustice, rallying together in a way she had never imagined. They organized bake sales, car washes, and community talks, showing Mia she wasn't alone. The love and strength of those around her began to weave a new narrative. Mia stood at the precipice of uncertainty. Her acceptance letter from Harvard arriving like a weightless feather in her hands, sweeping her into a cloud of possibilities. And yet, with her brother's silent struggle and the haunting betrayal still fresh, questions poured in like rain. Had she truly earned this? Was she strong enough? As she gazed out at the horizon, doubts gnawed at her heart. What if she couldn't be the beacon of hope her community believed her to be? The journey ahead promised both brightness and shadows, and as she braced herself for the next step, the world around her awaited. Full of dreams, fears, and an indomitable spirit that refused to fade. Mia sat at her desk, staring at the acceptance letter from Harvard that felt weightless in her grasp, yet heavy with expectation. The Morning sun filtered through her window, casting ribbons of light across her cluttered room, illuminating the mess of dreams and doubts she had kept hidden. She took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm brewing within her. Could she really face this new world? Just then, her phone buzzed with a text from Marco. "Hey, can we talk?" A knot tightened in her stomach. She had been so consumed with her own worries that she had barely checked on him lately. It was time to address the silence that hung heavily between them. Setting the letter down, she texted back, "Sure, when?" Minutes later, there was a knock on her door. Marco stood there, looking larger than life yet somehow diminished. His hair was unkempt, and shadows clung to the edges of his eyes. Guilt washed over Mia. They had always been close, but ever since he returned, the distance felt suffocating. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. "I've been thinking." He began, then trailed off, uncertainty hanging in the air. "Can I help?" she asked, crossing the room in a heartbeat. The familiar warmth of her brother's presence comforted her, even amid his struggles. He shook his head slowly. "I don't know. I don't want to burden you while you're chasing your dreams." His voice was barely above a whisper. "Marco, you're not a burden," she insisted, feeling her heart ache for him. "We're family. We face this together." He hesitated before finally sitting down on her bed, his eyes drifting to the open letter on the desk. "Harvard. You really did it." A ghost of a smile broke through the weight of his feelings. "I'm proud of you, Mia." "Thanks, but..." She hesitated. "I don't know how to make it all work. Your struggle, my dreams. It feels impossible." With a glimmer of defiance, he replied, "If anyone can do it, it's you. You've always pushed boundaries. Remember when we built that treehouse in the backyard? You got us to dream big, even when the odds were against us." A small smile fought its way to her lips. "Yeah, and I fell out of it too." "It wouldn't be a family project if we didn't fall a bit." Marco let out a soft chuckle, but it quickly faded. "I've fallen in ways you can't even see. Mia, I'm working on getting back up, but it's hard." That true admission cut through her. She sensed the gravity of his pain, heavy and raw. "You don't have to do this alone. Let me help you." His eyes shone with a flicker of hope, but the shadows still clouded his voice. "How? I don't want to drag you down." She was silent for a moment, the weight of his fear resonating deep within her. "What if we leaned on each other? You fight your battles, and I fight mine. We can be a team." He looked up at her, the tightness in his jaw easing just a bit. "I'd like that." As they sat together in the newfound brightness of the morning, Mia felt the air shift, hoppy seeping fragile but real. For the first time, she could see a future that intertwined their paths, one where dreams and healing could coexist. But as the moment of connection settled between them, Mia's phone buzzed again, this time with an email notification. The subject line froze her blood. Urgent, college funding requirements. Her heart lurched. What now? Was the dream of Ivy League glory about to slip once again from her grasp? "Before you read that," Marco said, sensing her fear, "remember, we face this together." With that, Mia opened the email, her heart racing. What would it reveal about her future and how it would impact them both? Mia's finger hovered over the screen, heart pounding as she read the requirements. Tuition fees, living expenses, and additional hidden costs swirled like a storm in her mind. The words blurred together, repeating in a haunting rhythm that echoed her doubts. How was she going to manage this? She felt small and isolated, standing at the edge of a cliff she had never intended to leap from. Glancing at Marco, she saw the concern furrowed in his brow, his strong, steady presence a quiet anchor in the surging tide of anxiety. Her breath caught. Marco, this. It's worse than I thought. I didn't factor all this in. No one prepares you for the real world, he said, leaning forward, his voice low and firm. What do you need to make it work? I don't know, she admitted, her hands trembling as she put the phone down. Scholarships, loans. It sounds like I'll be drowning in debt before I even start. What about looking for jobs? Marco suggested, an idea sparking in his eyes. You could work part-time. I could help too. Maybe pick up extra hours. For a brief moment, Mia smiled at the thought of a plan forming, but it quickly faded. But that means I won't have time to study. This is Harvard. Marco, it's not just another school. He met her gaze, unyielding. And this is your dream, right? You'll find a way. You always do. Tears stung her eyes. What if I can't? What if I'm not enough? I finally got in and now it feels impossible. I don't want to let everyone down, especially you. In that moment the weight lifted just a little as Marco reached out and placed his hand over hers. You won't let me down. I'm here because I believe in you. You have to believe in yourself too. His sincerity pierced through her fear like sunlight breaking a dark cloud. Mia felt a flicker of hope, but it struggled against the shadows of insecurity. I should have focused on your situation instead of my own. Hey, we promised to be a team, right? Let me share this burden. You're not alone in this. Mia nodded, wiping her wet cheeks with the back of her hand. Maybe we can get through this together. But I still need to check if there are more options for funding. I can't afford to choke on responsibilities before I even start my classes. Let's make a list, Marco said, pulling his phone from his pocket. We can research scholarships, grants, and everything else. We'll find a way to make it work, one step at a time. How does that sound? Yeah, I like that, she replied, new energy sparking in her chest. They could be a team no matter the odds stacked against them. But just as the flicker of determination ignited between them, Marco's expression shifted. He looked away uncertain, unfurling in the depths of his eyes. Mia, what you don't know is that I've been talking to someone about possible options for help. It's not about you dragging me down, but you need to know this could change both our paths. What do you mean? She asked, confusion knotting her stomach again. I think there's a program. Something that could help with our situations, but I need to gather more information first. It's not guaranteed. Mia's pulse quickened. Can you at least tell me who? What kind of help are we talking about? He paused, the air thick with uncertainty. It's a risk, I just need to dig deeper. But Mia, promise me that no matter what, we stick to the plan. Please. The urgency in his voice sent shivers down her spine. Of course, whatever it is, we'll get through. The weight of unanswered questions loomed. What would they uncover? How deeply would this program intertwine their futures? As Mia stared at her brother, the looming uncertainty mirrored the faded dream of her acceptance letter. Their paths were less certain, but together they might forge something unbreakable. The tension in the air pulsed with possibility. Just promise me, We're not throwing away our dreams, she said, feeling the gravity of the moment. I promise, Marco's resolute tone echoed in her mind, mingling with the hope that flickered alongside her fear. But, as she released the breath she didn't know she was holding, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that the next step awaited them, a shadow lurking just beyond their grasp. What truth lay hidden behind Marco's careful words? Would it lead them to salvation or push them further into chaos? The hum of the fluorescent lights added to the growing tension in the small room. Mia couldn't shake the storm of apprehension swirling in her head. She watched Marco type furiously on his phone, searching through the endless sea of information that could either lift them or drown them. "Mia, look at this one!" he exclaimed suddenly, his voice tinged with excitement. "This scholarship is specifically for first-generation college students. It could cover a significant portion of your tuition." A wave of relief washed over her momentarily, filling her with warmth. But as quickly as it surfaced, doubt clouded her mind again. Do you think I can even compete with the others? What if they're smarter or more qualified? What if I'm not chosen? Marco turned to face her, frustration flickering in his eyes. You cannot think like that. Remember why you got into Harvard in the first place. You're brilliant. You have fought hard for this. You deserve your spot. And just because it's competitive doesn't mean you won't shine. But she hesitated, searching for the right words. What if the odds are just too much? Mia, he said gently, you know the odds are just numbers. They don't define you. She wished she had the same certainty he did. The feeling twisted in her stomach, an ache filled with fear and hope intertwined. Okay, let's apply. But what if I still can't manage? I have to be realistic. He placed the phone down. Mia, you're already ahead of so many people just by taking the time to apply. Just think of this as one more step. And look, if things go south, we'll figure it out together, like we always do. His unwavering confidence seeped into her. Even if the étape leaping into the unknown was starting to feel less daunting when accompanied by Marco's support. After a couple of hours, lists were made, applications started. And they even found a few teaching assistant positions that could help lighten the financial load. The morning light peeked through the curtains, casting soft shadows on the walls. Let's take a break, Marco said, yawning. We've made great progress. Suddenly, the weight of exhaustion hit Mia like a ton of bricks. She hadn't realized just how tiring this brainstorming had been. Yeah, good idea, she sighed. But as she stretched her neck and blinked at Marco, another thought crept into her mind. Marco, what about your plans? We keep focusing on my problems. How can I support you? He shrugged, nonchalantly, but she could see the flicker of frustration behind his calm facade. That answer didn't sit well with her. You can't just brush it off like that. You deserve your dream to. A pained look crossed his face, and the room felt heavy with unspoken words. I know, I really do. But the uncertainty is my cross to bear right now. Mia's heart tightened, realizing how much they had both sacrificed in their own ways. What if Marco buried his aspirations while trying to help her? The thought terrified her, but she didn't know how to voice it. As silence settled around them, both deep in thought, Mia felt the reality of their situation wrap around her like a thick fog. It wasn't just her journey they were navigating. They were both on the brink of something monumental. "Can we make a plan for you two?" she asked quietly, needing to change the narrative. "You shouldn't just be my supporter. You're family, and you deserve to have your dreams too." Marco met her gaze, and for the first time, vulnerability shone through his protective armor. "Maybe," he whispered, "but I need to be sure. To figure this out, without dragging you into my mess." Mia felt the air crackle with the weight of unaddressed issues between them. As they navigated their individual uncertainties, they were both standing on the edge of something much larger than themselves. Could they truly balance each other's fears while chasing their dreams? Would they find strength in their shared chaos, or would the weight of the past threaten to pull them down? Mia's pulse quickened. They had to move forward, but she knew deeper questioning awaited them on their incredible journey. What truths would they unearth about their dreams, their choices, and themselves? And would it tear them apart or bind them closer together? The sun was setting, painting the sky in fiery oranges and deep purples. It cast a softer light through the small room, slowly dissolving the tension that had thickened throughout the day. Mia leaned back in her chair, letting the comforting warmth wrap around her as she thought about the tumultuous journey forged by dreams and doubts. "What if we set some goals for each of us?" she suggested, her voice breaking the silence. "Concrete goals we can actually work towards." Marco raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Like what?" "Okay," she said, her brain firing with possibilities. "For me, getting that scholarship is priority number 1. I can start by working on my essay every day, maybe spend a couple of hours each evening refining it. And then I can research those teaching assistant positions you mentioned. And for me?" he asked, folding his arms and leaning forward with curiosity. "For you," she paused, weighing her words carefully. "What about applying to internships related to your interests? You always talked about wanting to get into environmental science. There must be programs out there that could set you on that path." "Internships," he mulled it over, his excitement growing. "That's an idea. But I'd still be juggling schoolwork and plenty of other responsibilities." "True, but you also deserve to explore what you want. Marco, you should look into it," she urged. "No, more swiping those dreams under the rug." He chuckled softly, catching her contagious enthusiasm. "Balance, huh? I like it. It feels like we're finally taking charge instead of just reacting." The shared hope sparked an unexpected energy between them. As they crafted their plans, the room felt less like a prison of worries and more like a sanctuary of possibilities. Marco's shoulders eased as he discussed what kind of internships could enhance his college applications. Mia couldn't help but smile. Through these simple conversations, they were building a roadmap, a much-needed structure to their chaotic lives. And once a week we check in with each other, she proposed. Accountability partners. No hiding, just honesty. "Deal," he said, matching her grin with a more genuine one that illuminated his face. It was a new commitment looking out for one another, refusing to sideline dreams in favor of fear. But, as they reveled in the moment, a cold draft seemed to chill the air. A sudden wave of panic crashed over Mia. "But what if we fail?" she whispered, her throat tightening around the words. "What if all this doesn't work out? What if we put in all this effort, and it's still not enough?" The enthusiasm shifted, and the playful lightness in the air dimmed. Marco's gaze grew serious, the weight of her concern striking him too. Mia, I think the real failure is not trying at all. We owe it to ourselves. To go for it, no matter what. At least, we'll know we gave it everything we had. Their eyes locked, and in that electrifying moment, the truth of their determination settled in. They both had their paths to tread, but were not alone in the journey. Mia took a deep breath, a blend of apprehension and excitement swirling in her chest. They were at the brink of something larger than their individual dreams. Perhaps this was the beginning of a transformation they hadn't anticipated. Promise me we'll stay true to this goal, she said, her eyes reflecting sincerity. No matter where it takes us. Promise, Marco replied, his voice firm yet full of warmth. As the last rays of sunlight faded, they each felt a slight shift inside, like a veil lifting. They had carved a path forward together, a commitment to chase dreams, while holding on to each other. But the question loomed, could they really face the trials ahead? As tomorrow dawned, they would find out just how far their plans would take them. What obstacles awaited them just around the corner, and would their bond strengthen or fray under the weight of their aspirations? Mia woke up to the sound of her alarm blaring. She blinked against the early, morning light streaming through her curtains. The sun wasn't quite up yet, but an odd excitement filled the air. Today was the day she would start her plan. Sitting on the edge of her bed, she took a moment to reflect. Would they really follow through? There was still that gnawing doubt in her mind, a question mark hovering over each of her dreams, but she couldn't let fear control her anymore. Slipping into her favorite hoodie, she reminded herself why she was doing this. The scholarship, the future, the freedom to chase her goals without restraints. Once she was dressed, Mia headed to the kitchen. The coffee pot gurgled as she anticipated that warm, rich flavor. It was still dark outside, and the world outside felt like a blank slate, ready for her to fill it in. She poured a steaming cup, cradling the warmth in her hands, and breathed deep. As she started her essays, she couldn't help but think about Marco. She wondered if he was up yet. Probably contemplating his own dreams. They had each agreed to start early with their goals, lighting a fire under their ambitions. After a few hours of focused writing, the words on paper began to flow. Each sentence felt closer to her ultimate goal. It was then that a notification buzzed on her phone, a message from Marco. Hey, ready for our first check-in. His text read, a hint of enthusiasm bouncing through the screen. Mia smiled, her heart fluttering at the thought of sharing her progress. Absolutely. I'm pumped. Want to meet up at the coffee shop at 10. See you there, he replied almost instantly. As the hours passed, Mia felt a mixture of excitement and nervous energy. She finished her first draft and felt a wave of pride wash over her. Maybe, just maybe, this would be enough. When she arrived at the coffee shop, the familiar scent of coffee, blended with the soft hum of chatter, greeted her. Her stomach twisted with anticipation as she scanned the room for Marco. Then, she spotted him at the far corner, his hair tousled and his focus squarely on his laptop. Hey, superstar, she greeted as she slid into the seat across from him. Wow, you really look like you mean business, he joked, gesturing to her slightly wrinkled notes and the caffeine-fueled determination in her eyes. After some small talk and the ritual exchange of coffee orders, Mia dove into her draft. She read it aloud, her voice steadying as she shared her hopes for the scholarship. The way Marco listened, nodding and responding, made her feel supported, like they were both in this whirlwind together. "You're going to nail it," he encouraged. "Your passion shines through these words." Feeling the swell of gratitude, Mia returned the favor, asking Marco about his internship applications. As he described his potential projects and how they aligned with his passion for environmental science, she could see the excitement ignite in his eyes. But as they talked, an unease crept into Mia's mind. Marco was so passionate. What if she couldn't match his intensity? What if her work wasn't enough? Interrupting her thoughts, he said, "Hey, it's hard to remember this sometimes. But as long as we stay committed, that's what really counts, you know?" "Yeah, Mia bit her lip, hesitating. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm really cut out for all this." Marco leaned earnestly. "We're figuring it out, one step at a time. Don't let doubts drown your drive." His sincerity enveloped her like a warm blanket, and she couldn't help but nod. Maybe together they could weather any storm. As their conversation flowed seamlessly, another message pinged on Mia's phone, breaking the spell of intimacy. A scholarship alert. It wasn't just any alert. It was an invitation to apply for one of the most competitive programs in the country, a golden opportunity. Her heart raced as she stared at the message, the prospect swirling in her mind. "Marco, look at this," she exclaimed, showing him the screen. He linked splint on his face. But underneath, Mia sensed something else, an underlying worry. Would they both have what it takes? But before they could dive deeper, she felt a sudden surge of courage. "I had to go for it, no matter what. I mean, we promised ourselves, right?" His eyes shone with pride. "You've got this, Mia. Just remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress." With renewed optimism, they both pondered the future, but uncertainty loomed like a shadow. Would they be able to meet their goals, or would ambition turn into anxiety? The next chapter of their lives was only starting, and as they packed up to leave the coffee shop, a new challenge awaited them on the horizon, one that could either bring them closer or tear them apart. Mia felt a weight in the pit of her stomach as they stepped out of the coffee shop, the air crisp and electric with the thrill of possibility. She caught Marco stealing glances at her, and those looks filled her with both warmth and anxiety. Could they really handle the challenges ahead? "Let's find a quiet place to think about our applications," Marco suggested, pulling out his phone to look for nearby parks. "Somewhere we can just brainstorm ideas together." As they walked side by side, Mia's mind raced. Each step away from the cafe felt like moving further into a daunting unknown. She glanced at Marco, his brow furrowed in concentration, and wondered if he could sense her swirling thoughts. They arrived at a small park dotted with early blooming flowers and benches shaded by leafy branches. The tranquil setting contrasted sharply with Mia's racing heart. Marco took his seat on a bench and gestured for her to join him. "Okay, what do we need to tackle first?" "Maybe your personal statement," he asked, pulling out his laptop. Mia bit her lip again, the hint of doubt creeping back in. "I've been thinking about it, but I'm not sure what angle to take. Everyone will be saying how passionate they are about their goals. What if I can't stand out?" "Hey, every story is unique. Yours just needs to be real." Marco's words were firm, but there was a softness in his gaze. "Share what matters to you most. your dreams, your struggles. That's what will resonate. She took a deep breath, a wave of gratitude washing over her. You always know what to say, she replied with a smile that felt genuine. It was moments like this that made her realize how much she valued his friendship. But behind her smile, questions and fears still clung to her. You really think I can differentiate myself from others? She asked, dropping her voice a little. I know you can, he replied, scrolling through his notes. And remember, it's not just about the words you write. It's about how you live them every day. His enthusiasm sparked something in Mia, reminding her of the nights she'd stayed up studying, the mornings she'd pushed herself out of bed before dawn. No, she wasn't just a resume. She was a story waiting to be told. But was that enough? All right, Mia said, flipping open her notebook. Let's brainstorm. What are some standout moments in my life? What do I value? As they jotted down ideas, Marco's energy seeped into her. With every shared laugh and every thoughtful nod, the doubts lessened. The blank pages began to fill with reflections of her journey from the small victories to the bigger hurdles. Yet just when she felt momentum building, Marco's phone buzzed again, a stark reminder of the unpredictable world outside their bubble. Sorry, let me quickly check this. It might be important, he said, lifting his phone. As he read the messages, his expression shifted from curiosity to something more serious. Mia, you need to see this, he murmured, looking up at her with concern. What is it? She felt a chill creep down her spine. Was it another competition? More deadlines. This isn't good. There's a rumor going around that some schools are really clamping down on their admission processes due to the number of applicants. His voice lowered, almost as if he was afraid of the weight of his words. They might be looking for exceptional proof of dedication. Mia was momentarily stunned, her heart thudding heavily. In a matter of seconds, their relentless drive felt suddenly overshadowed by pressure. What does that mean for us? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know. But we need to get ahead of this. We can't afford to let anything hold us back now. With his words echoing her rising panic, Mia realized that their aspirations were more at risk than she had imagined. The stakes were higher than ever. I don't know what to do, she admitted, feeling vulnerable. Marco placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We're in this together, remember. We find a way, right? Just as hope flickered, Mia felt a strange mix of resolve and fear. She was determined to push through, even if this path was more daunting than she had signed up for. As they sat there, the tightening grip of challenge bound them closer than ever. But just when she thought they could move forward, Mia felt another wave of dread sweep over her. Would their efforts be enough against the odds? Would their friendship withstand the pressures rising around them? The air was thick with uncertainty, and as they both leaned closer to the laptop, the bigger questions loomed ahead. Was this challenge the push they needed, or was it the crack that could shatter their dreams? Mia stared at the laptop screen, her mind racing as the implications of Marco's words sank deeper. The comforting park that had once felt like a safe haven now loomed around her like an intimidating maze, each bush and flower mocking her still. Exceptional proof of dedication, she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. Could she actually prove that? For a moment, Marco seemed lost in thought, the flicker of his phone screen briefly capturing his attention. But then, the focus returned to Mia. What if we showcase your dedication beyond the personal statement? Something tangible, he suggested, his eyes lighting up with the idea. What do you mean? Mia leaned over a second. We could create a project. Something that reflects who you are, your passion for your field. It could be a community service initiative, or maybe something related to environmental change. Or art, Marco rambled on, the excitement bubbling over. Mia felt a surge of hope at his words. You think it could work? Definitely, but it has to be something you genuinely care about. It needs to reflect your journey, not just what looks good on paper. She thought for a moment, her heart racing with every possibility. What about starting a workshop for kids in our neighborhood? I've been meaning to teach art for a while. Bring in some creativity and give them a space to express themselves. Yes, that's perfect. Marco beamed, his enthusiasm palpable. Art is such a powerful way to convey your story. It shows leadership, commitment, and creativity all at once. A sense of exhilaration surged through Mia. Maybe this could be the standout moment she needed. She could picture herself standing there, teaching and inspiring others, her words echoing in the room as brightly as the colors splashed on canvases. But just as quickly, a shadow of doubt crept back in. What if it's not good enough? What if the admissions officers want something bigger or more dramatic? Marco held her gaze. Mia, you have to trust your instincts. This is your story. No one can tell it better than you. If it matters to you, it will matter to them. She took a deep breath, contemplating his words. Yes, she had to stand firm. This was her opportunity to shine, not just for herself, but for those kids who might discover a spark of creativity in the chaos of their lives. Okay, let's do it. Mia exclaimed, feeling the resolve solidify within her heart. Let's create this workshop. Just then, a couple of kids from the neighborhood ran by, their laughter echoing through the park. Mia watched them, her heart swelling. Could she really make a difference? Could this lead to something more for her and those kids? Marco's phone buzzed again, this time more persistently. He glanced down and frowned. I hate to break this momentum, but I need to take this. It could be about that funding proposal I submitted. Go ahead, Mia said, her focus still tethering to the excited thoughts spiraling in her mind. While Marco stepped a little away to take his call, Mia began jotting down the ideas swirling in her head. She wrote the words art, workshop at the top of a fresh page, followed by notes on potential activities and themes. Each word ignited something inside her, a small flame of passion slowly building. But even as sparks of excitement danced, another sensation loomed, fear of the unknown. What if this didn't turn out as planned? What if she failed to inspire even a single kid? As she chewed on her pencil, doubt slipped in again, nipping at her confidence. When Marco returned, his expression had shifted. They want to meet about the proposal tomorrow. It's serious now, he said, his tone laced with urgency. That's great, Mia said, though she couldn't shake off her ball of anxiety. Let's brainstorm your workshop more later tonight. How do we make it a reality? She nodded, grateful for the partnership but feeling the stakes rise higher. They might be trying to navigate their paths, yet everything felt intertwined. Would their dreams evolve or collapse under pressure? As the sun began to dip below the horizon, Leaving streaks of orange and pink across the sky, Mia couldn't help but wonder, what will their journey hold? And could she truly transform both her life and the lives of others? The air buzzed with possibility, but it hung there like a question mark, leaving her with an ache for direction. What if the next steps didn't just change their paths, but the very fabric of their friendship? Mia barely slept that night. Her mind raced with visions of the workshop she planned to lead. The joy of teaching, the spark of creativity in her students. Their wide-eyed expressions, as they explored their artistic sides, those images filled her every thought. Yet, beneath that excitement rested her ever-present anxiety. The early morning light filtered through her bedroom window, illuminating her cluttered desk. Half-finished sketches lay sprawled alongside textbooks, notes for a presentation piecing together her future. And her acceptance letter to Harvard, which she had tacked to the wall as a constant reminder of her goal. Today would change everything. Over breakfast, she couldn't help but replay yesterday's encounter with Marco. His confidence motivated her in ways she hadn't anticipated. If it matters to you, it will matter to them. Those words echoed in her mind like a mantra, helping to quiet the flutter of self-doubt. After a few quick bites, she grabbed her art supplies and headed to the park. The crisp morning air was refreshing, sparking a feeling of new beginnings. When Mia arrived, she found Marco sitting on their usual bench, his laptop open but his attention focused elsewhere. "Hey!" she called out, buoyant with anticipation, ready to dive in. He looked up, a broad smile showcasing his excitement. "Absolutely. I have a soft copy of the proposal draft, with updates as well. But first," Marco leaned forward. "Tell me more about this workshop." Mia felt her cheeks warm with enthusiasm as she shared her vision. "I want each session to be a mix of creativity and fun for the kids. We can have a theme each week, like colors, nature, or even emotions. Art isn't just about the end product. It's about exploration and expression." Marco nodded along, his brows furrowing deep in thought. "That's brilliant. Let's also include some elements of storytelling. They could create art based on their own stories." "Yes!" Mia could hardly contain her excitement. "We could have a storyboard where they can draw a scene from their life. It'll help them connect more to what they create." Mia could see Marco jotting down notes vigorously. The collaboration felt electric, and for the first time, she sensed their friendship deepening and shifting into something more. The two of them were no longer just individuals with separate dreams. They were a team, crafting a path together. As they talked, kids from the neighborhood wandered into the park, playground, laughter spilling into their planning session. Mia spotted a group of them tossing a soccer ball around and consuming more space than ever. What if we added an activity where they can draw what they feel every week? They could share their art, something tangible to take home, she suggested. Now we're getting somewhere. Marco grinned, his energy thrumming in sync with hers. Engagement is key. Write that down. But then, like a cloud crossing the sun, doubt again clouded her mind. What if they didn't show up? What if the workshops turned into empty chairs and silent canvases? The fight-or-flight instinct twisted her stomach. "I mean, is it too much to ask?" She finally whispered, her voice quivering slightly. "What if they aren't interested in art? What if it just doesn't work?" He paused, his expression serious. Mia Think about why you want to do this. You're creating a space for kids to express themselves. For many, that could be a breakthrough. Even if just one child finds joy in this, it's all worth it. His words bore weight. The fear unclipped its grip on her heart as she allowed hope to fill the void. Okay, let's do it. But we'll need to come up with a catchy name and a flyer, she said more confidently. Great. We can brainstorm ideas now, Marco replied, but suddenly his phone buzzed again. Frowning, he glanced at the screen. It might be about the funding proposal. Just one sec. While he stepped away, her thoughts spun. They had so much to do before the workshop. The name felt critical. It would capture the essence of their mission. She stared at the sky, watching fluffy clouds drift by, her mind racing. Could a simple name encapsulate her dream? Just then, a high-pitched cheer startled her back to the moment. A group of children, laughter spilling over, ran past her pretending to be superheroes. Watching them made her heart swell again. Suddenly, in that brief moment, an idea struck. A name filled her with excitement. Art Heroes. Her heart raced. Would it resonate? Mia couldn't wait for Marco to return. She wanted to share her thought, but uncertainty crawled back in. Would it be silly? Would he think she was reaching too far? When Marco came back, he glanced at her expectant face. What's up? I think I've got a name for the workshop, she said, holding her breath. Would saying it out loud solidify this dream, or would it shatter in the light? The moment hovered, leaving a palpable tension in the air, as Mia prepared to stake her claim on this growing dream. Art Heroes. The words tumbled from Mia's lips, charged with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Marco's eyes widened, and a grin broke across his face. That's amazing. Art Heroes. It perfectly captures the spirit of what we're doing. Each kid will feel like they're embarking on their own adventure in creativity. Mia could feel the warmth blooming in her chest. For the first time, the weight of her fears felt lighter, almost like they were dissipating in the sunlight. She imagined the kids arriving, their curious expressions awaiting the transformation art could bring. What if they discovered their own heroic stories through paint and paste? But like any good roller coaster, the thrill quickly turned to the steep climb of reality. We need to get the flyer out there, she said, her voice laced with urgency. I can't just hope kids will show up. I need to connect with the schools, the community centers, anybody that can help spread the word. Marco nodded vigorously. Let's create an outline. We need all the details covered when, where, what they'll learn. We can even include a few samples of the artwork you'll be helping them create. Visuals attract attention, and that Mia felt further. They set to work, brainstorming, drawing up plans for the flyer, their shared laughter mingling with the whispers of the trees around them. Flashes of creativity spilled from her pen as she designed the layout, the vibrant colors reflecting the spirit of the workshop. We'll include a little section about how art can be a voice. It's not just about the final product, it's about the journey. Exactly. Marco leaned closer. And we could encourage the kids to share their stories. Their triumphs and challenges. This could be like an art exhibition at the end of the workshop. The thought electrified Mia. The kids could celebrate their work. The dream felt like it was taking flight, an idea, rooted in hope and connection blossoming right before their eyes. Just then, his phone buzzed again, this time more urgently. Marco's expression fell slightly as he read the message. "It's from the proposal meeting," he said, looking serious. Mia's heart sank. "What does it say?" "There's another meeting next week. They want to see more paperwork and timelines. It feels like they're really pushing for a lot." His voice was tight, a flicker of fear weaving into his words. A rush of concern swept over Mia, an uncomfortable reminder of the obstacles they faced. "Marco, you don't have to bear that alone. We can figure it out together." "Yeah," his gaze softened at her reassurance. "I know. Just trying to keep everything balanced. You know." "Of course," she affirmed, squeezing his hand for a moment. "You know I'm here for you. You're not dragging me down. We're lifting each other up, just like art heroes." They shared a laugh, breaking through the mounting tension. Encouraged, they returned to crafting the flyer, weaving together every ounce of their excitement into words and colors. Hours seemed to blur together as they designed, sketched, and collaborated. By the time the sun began to dip toward the horizon, they held a beautifully designed flyer, their dreams cushioned between layers of artistry and shared intent. As they admired their creation, Mia could already see it hanging in community centers and classrooms, bringing the idea of art heroes to life. But in the back of her mind, that nagging voice whispered once again, what if no one came? What if her aspirations crumbled under the pressure? Her heart raced at the thought, and Marco must have seen the shift in her expression. "Mia, just remember, the success of this isn't just about numbers. It's about the impact we're going to make." She nodded, swallowing tightly. "Right, it's about finding joy in the process, echoing the spirit of resilience, just like our journey." "Exactly." He grinned, and Mia felt the spark of hope flicker back to life. As they departed the park, darkness enveloped the day, but within her, a fierce light ignited. The next morning, she stood tall in front of the old school gymnasium filled with kids buzzing with energy. She had posted the flyers everywhere, and many had arrived, full of chatter and curiosity. Heart racing, she took a deep breath, clutching her paints tightly. "Welcome to Art Heroes," she called, her voice bounding across the room. "Today, we're going to explore our creativity together." The kids fell quiet, their attention turning toward her, expectant eyes reflecting the bright colors she had envisioned. "What stories will you share?" She wondered aloud to herself, her own insecurities drifting away. The moment had arrived, and the transformation she had hoped for became a palpable reality. As laughter and creativity filled the air, Mia felt joy radiate from her heart. They were painting dreams together, crafting a tangible future where both she and Marco could thrive. As the weeks flew by, the Art Heroes workshop grew from strength to strength. Each session revealed new stories, friendships, and the heartwarming realization that dreams could indeed unite and uplift. One night after a successful session, Mia sat with Marco under the stars. They spoke about the future, balancing dreams with reality, and how far they had both come. "It feels like more than just art," he reflected. "It's about community and resilience." She smiled, her heart full. Maybe this journey is the true transformation we both needed. Together, they leaned into their journey, the glow of newfound hope illuminating their paths. It felt like they were steering toward something bright and meaningful. As the night deepened, Mia whispered, "No matter the challenges, as long as we stick together," Marco completed her thought. We've got this. Always. And just like that, two dreams intertwined. Illuminating the journey ahead, a beacon of hope, radiating from a place of struggle. Transforming both their lives as they stepped boldly into the future. It was their moment. It was the spark of something extraordinary. Now, facing the horizon, they knew they were no longer alone in their battles. Together, they had become art heroes, crafting a life colorful with resilience, determination, and most importantly, love. And everyone knew their story had just begun. If you're feeling inspired by Mia and Marco's journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss the next amazing stories we have lined up. Hit that like button now to help support the channel and feed the algorithm. Comment below with your thoughts on this transformation. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this story of hope and resilience. You know they thank you for it.